Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Scott Courchaine with Micom America, and we're going to do an installation video today on our low-energy SW800 Micom swing door operator. So here's the product. We've already taken it out of the box. You don't really need to see that. What we're going to just check on first is to make sure that this has got the right swing handing on it so that we can put it up on the wall. So comes with one arm. This is the push arm. We have our installation instructions right here. And now I'm going to take the cover off. And here's the cover. Here's some of the other components. The on-off switch, our decals. All right. And here you can see right-hand push. And the application we're going to use that in today is a right-hand push. So the product is all ready to go and to be installed. So our next step is going to be to remove the motor, gearbox, and the controller from the operator so that this can be a one-person installation. Unplug the Rev Counter. Unplug the motor. And remove it from the aluminum header. The next one is to remove the controller. Just loosen these 7/16" bolts, move them to the side, and the controller comes out. The next step will be to mount the header to the actual wall. Our next step is to go ahead and do a visual inspection of the wall and the door frame just to make sure that there's enough structural integrity that the wall has the strength to hold the operator up. So as we look around here, everything looks good. You know, you don't see any deterioration of anything. We also want to go ahead and measure the door just to double check everything. Okay, 36" door, that's what we had planned for. We also want to check the handing. Again, just another double check, if you will. So it's a push, and it's a left-hand reverse in the hardware world. In the automatic door world, we would just simply call this a right-handed push. And I know they're opposites of each other, but that's just a different terminology. So we verified that. We got to verify we have 120 volt electricity, which you can't see it, but we brought it in up above the ceiling here. So we got a separate circuit for that. We're all set. We want to check the reveal. That is the distance between the plane of where the operator is and the plane of the door. So if I check that, we are 3 3/4 inches. Our arm goes up to 14 inches, so we don't have any concerns with that there at all. Now we just want to go ahead and double check where are we going to put the operator from right to left and top to bottom. So we've already located it. The operator header is 39 inches long. So typically you would put the header over to the perimeter of the molding. And we could put a 40" in here. It would be symmetrical from right to left. In reality, you can cut our header down to as little as 27 inches, and you can just push it all over. So in this case here, to make it all symmetrical, we're going to be a 1/2 inch inset from the outside of the door frame, and our spindle is going to be 4 3/4 inches from our header, which is the perfect distance that we need it to be. All right, so our next step is to just temporarily place the aluminum header up here to make sure we've got all of the dimensions and criteria right where we want it. First thing we see right here is we have a negative reveal. So we need to go ahead and put a spacer in here because the aluminum header is going to be on the sheetrock. And I've cut this. This particular one is 1/2 inch. And we're going to run it essentially across the width of the door. Then we want to go ahead and just take our blank header, okay, following the marks that I did a little earlier. And we're going to make the bottom of this plane even with this door, the door stop on the door frame. All right, so in this case, we're going to go ahead and use some self-tapping tech screws, and we're going to go right through the aluminum, right through the spacer, and then right into the steel door frame. Then our next step will be to go ahead, and we have some other self-tapping ones, and we're going to put 3 or 4 across the top, 3 or 4 across the bottom. Okay, our next step is to go ahead, place this up there, and we've already inspected the framed out header of the wall construction behind here. It's got a double layer of steel studs, which is what it should have. And because of that, and where we're placing this in the earlier dimensions that we talked about, we're going to put 4 fasteners in 2 different rows, the top row and the bottom row. And that will securely fasten this to the wall. Okay, continuing in our installation, we have the header all installed. Now we're going to put the control panel back in and the motor in the gearbox, and then run the electric cord power to it as well. So these are 7/16. They just move up and down inside that track. And we can just slide these over here to the left-hand side for now. There's plenty of room in this cabinet to move this around. Before I put the operator back in here, we're going to be bringing the power in over on this side. So there's a knockout right here for power, and then a smaller knockout right here, which is where the on-off open switch goes. So while I have access to it, I'm just going to punch those out. Consider that punched out. What I didn't show you earlier, we didn't film, was I cleaned this cabinet all out of shavings and dust and everything, because I don't want anything in there to short any of the electronics out. The other fragile part on the motor is this Rev Counter. As you can see, it's got its own little mini circuit board there, and we don't want to grab onto that or let that get damaged. It's a snug fit, and that little screw definitely okay, pretty easy. And there's one screw that goes up here, and we have to find the nut for that, which is right here. There's a hidden channel right here that holds square nuts, and that's why we slide them in during production, and then you can't lose them. Simple as that. Then we have to put these 2 screws, which also have a 7/16 nut on them. Motor's in, 3 screws. So you got your controller, motor, gearbox in, got your Rev Counter cable. I'm just going to run the electricity. There's plenty of room here in the aluminum header for you to fish this wire kind of wherever you want. Okay, the next stop on our electrical is to put in the on-off open switch. So here's the little plate that goes over the front hole here. I've just already threaded the cable through it. Just take your cable right here All right, and over here on this switch, you can see there is a little key way right here, and there is for a slot. And then the switch right here has a slot in it so that you get the hold open, the off, and the auto in the right position. And this presses through, and then you have two little screws. You screw right into the end plate. Little helpful hint here is make sure the plastic protectors are over these wires so that these wires won't short each other out. There you go. Okay, make sure you put it in the off position, and then come over here. It's all pre-wired for you. And it goes right here where it says switch. And it can only go in there one way. And again, we're just going to fold this in here kind of nice and neat. And that's it for the on-off hold open switch. All right, now for the arm installation. Okay, we're going to just take off this safety washer just in case you ever have a spindle failure or an arm failure. Haven't had one yet, but it's just another safety feature. Okay, here's your arm. This is your push arm. And the first, this is called the shoe of the arm. The first hole in the shoe right here at 13 inches. Okay, and again, if you get it at 12.5 or 13.5, it's not going to matter. But try to get it at 13. Now you can see on this arm, I put the secondary part of the arm, I put it on the lower side. You can put it on the upper side. It just gives you additional flexibility for the height adjustment that you want. Okay, so we've completed the arm installation. Off camera, we just tightened up these 4 bolts right here. And you can now see that the arm is set at about 80 degrees, giving you the pre-tension that I mentioned to you. And the power is on. The operator is in the off position. So now we're just going to go ahead and manually push the door open so you can see how that all works. And you can see it's smooth operation. So you saw it slow down a little bit there. That's the latch area. Even though it's not turned on yet, it still knows it has to do that. Okay, so now we're just going to start the programming. So here we are, Micom. We can take off this little protective tape. See the screen a little better here. All right, over here, we want to go to the on position on your on-off open switch. So the first thing we're going to do, but we do not have the strike connected or buttons or anything because we want to program the door to behave the way we want it to behave, and then we'll come back and add those. So first thing, you have a test to learn button right here. We're going to hold this down for 3 seconds. Then we're going to hit the enter button to confirm the learn. And then I'm going to get down off the ladder. I'm going to walk around to the other side of the door, and I'm going to hold my foot so the door stops up against that where I want the fully open position to be set. And I'll have plenty of time to do that. Hold the learn switch down for 3 seconds. Hit the enter button to confirm, and it's very slowly going to open. You get off your ladder. You come to the other side of the door and set your foot where you want the fully open switch, fully open position to be. Okay, just stay there. It'll come back and it has learned the fully open position. Now on the way in, just pull it a little snug right here. Okay, that's a helpful hint. that sets the fully closed position. So now it's learned the fully open and fully closed position. So if you go back here and you hit the test button one more time, just momentarily, that's the same as activating it with a switch. Right to the position that we set it at. So now we know the operator is completely functional, and now we just want to go in and program it. But what we're now going to do is go ahead and select the features we want and pick the speeds we want, and pick the back check area and pick the latch area where we want it to slow down. So to do that, just come to the menu button. It's very intuitive. So just press it once. The first one is the opening speed. How fast do you want it to go? Okay, 12 is the fastest it will go because it's a low energy model. So adjust it. Back check speed. That's when it goes to slow down as it gets to the end of the fully open position. And again, you can slow it down more. Depends upon how you want the door to behave. Safety speed, do you want it to hold open or do you want it to crawl? We're just going to leave it at hold for now. Closing speed, how fast do you want the door to close? So we will just make it close a little faster, okay? Latch speed, same thing. We're going to go ahead and say 3. Current limit. That's how much force you're going to put on the door as it's opening. So what we say is lower is better, so that if it does hit an obstruction, i.e. a pedestrian, the lower the current limit, the softer the contact will be. So I'm just going to put it down to 5. But if you're in a windy application, you might have to go all the way up to the max if the door is going to be fighting the wind when it's opening. So in this application, we're going to pick 5. How long do you want the door to stay open? It has to be a minimum of 5 seconds to meet the ANSI 15619. Hold on manual, we're going to put that as no for now, but that holds the door whenever it's manually operated if you were to select that. Electronic door stop, yes, that's where we set the fully open position. Electric lock, we're going to put that down as no for right now because we've disconnected the electric lock, but we're going to come back to this and reactivate it when we show you how to connect the electric strike to it. The next one is how long of a delay. That's all built into this. You don't need any relays, don't need any additional power supplies. Latch position is 10. Okay, let's say we want it to slow down a little farther out. Okay, minimum is 10 degrees, now it's 14. Back check position, minimum is 80 degrees, but again, you can make it slow down when it's opening up a little more if you want. Push and go, we highly recommend you don't use that unless you just have, you know, employees only using the door, because the door will take off on itself and people won't understand that. So we say don't use that very much. And then push and go, how long do you want it to hold open? It's usually less than what the regular one is. Power close, we're going to say no because we have the clutch on this one. So this is one of the functions, one of the features that you cannot use on this model. Power close force does not matter. Door seal is no, it's an inactive feature. Special function is normal right now. You can have a wet input and you can have it normally open or normally closed. We're not going to be using that, so we'll skip that. Does the door overlap? No. Factory reset? No. Display light, that's this little light right here. We'll change it. Operator type is low energy. Safety inhibit is number 2. That's when you have presence sensors and you want to start to turn those presence sensors off as the door gets close to the wall, so that the sensors don't think that there's a pedestrian there and that stop the door. Out 1 function. Okay, so you can select if you want, if you need to know if the door is closed or the door is open. That's selectable if you need that for some kind of electronic access control or a smoke evacuation system. Pull before open, that's a latch assist program. So like if you have a strike, lots of times the strikes will be binding and they won't release themselves. And if you select yes on this, it will pull the door in just a pinch so that it releases the pressure on the strike and then it will open. Now, because this is the interior clutched model, that's the second feature that is not activated on this one. Reverse on obstruction, okay? So here you can say, no, I don't want it to reverse, or yes, I do. We're gonna say yes, that's just a typical behavior. Power shut is no. Power shut force doesn't matter. This is the date of the software version. And now we're back to opening speed. And you just scroll through it. You can change them as often as you want. And here you will see it's opening up at maximum low energy speed. And we increase the speed in the back check area, so we also slow it down a little sooner. See how it's nice and soft? And it just uses the spring in here to go ahead and pull it all the way closed. And again, now, the higher the speed you pick in the back check area or the latch area, the more difficult it is to detect where those areas are because you have a higher speed. So, and we did change that. So opening speed, back check speed, slow it way down. Latch speed, let's slow it way down. Okay, and then we'll go ahead. There you go. Nice and smooth. Okay, we're down to our final steps of the installation. We just completed the wiring. So we have an HES 5000 electric strike. And over here, you can see that we put in a wired wave to open BEA switch for the interior activation. And then we also wired up a master lock door controller, which gives you the ability to do Bluetooth with your mobile phone, and you can open the door from that. A more sophisticated way of doing electronic access control. Here's all the wiring. We pulled it in from behind, and we will also come back afterwards and run the 115 volt power behind here as well. Again, we just did it today because we didn't have an electrician here already to do that for us. So on the wiring, we're over here with the switch on ground and activation 1, and we did that with the door controller as well as the switch. And then over here, we used the 12 volt power supply side of the controller, and we went in and we programmed the controller that it had electric strike, and we put in a delay. So if you want to see that, we hit menu, okay, and we just scroll through like I showed you earlier. Very easy. Electric lock, we changed it to yes, okay, and then the next selectable feature is we put in a delay of 0.3 seconds, and the door works just the way that we want it to. And then over here we used the common and the normally opened and the 12 volt. And that's all the connections that we had to do for this. So if I go over here, the door is in the on position. So if I step over here, and the door is functioning, it unlocked the strike, released the strike, excuse me, and goes to the exact position that we wanted it to. And now the door is closing. And it's closed tight, and strike is fully functional. So that's it on the wiring side. Now we have to check for the force to make sure the door is within the acceptable ANSI range. Okay, so you can use up to 30 foot-pounds of pressure to get the door moving. And then once the door is actually moving, you have a maximum of 15 foot-pounds of pressure. So I just checked it. I'll show you how to check it again here. But you check it in 1 inch from the edge, the latch edge of the door. So you can just go ahead, activate it. Okay, and you can see we came into, I don't know if that's readable or not, or the right background, but it looks like it's about 11 foot-pounds. And Banner Solutions sells these gauges as well. Typical gauge. So we know we're in compliance with the pressure. Okay, all right. The other one I didn't mention, but I'm going to do it now on the fly. Okay, and that is, we're going to use a stopwatch. Okay, so if I go over here, okay, so the first initiation, it took 6 seconds to open, which again is within the ANSI minimum standards. It stayed open for about 4 seconds, depending upon if I hit, how fast I hit these buttons here. And then on the closing side, it took 8 seconds, all within the ANSI standard. And the standard, there is a chart in the standard that says, okay, there's minimum time allowances here. Now we're a little close on that minimum of 5 seconds. So even though my controller up here said 5 seconds, I'm gonna go ahead, for safety reasons, I'm gonna go ahead and change it to 6 seconds. Okay, so activation time, I'm gonna go up to 6 seconds, just to make sure that I'm fully in compliance with the ANSI 15619. Okay, this wraps up the installation video on the Micom SW800. So you can see here, we put the cover back on. This is what it looks like. This is a temporary. We'll put that behind the wall here. So I want to say a special thanks to Banner Solutions for helping us film this and edit this installation video. Say thank you for everybody that's watching this video today. I'm Scott Courchaine. I handle all the sales and customer inquiries here in the United States for Micom. Our website is micomamericas.ca, and feel free to reach out to us on our website with any inquiries you have or any questions you have about our products. Thanks a lot. Make it a great day.